Welcome, seekers of the truth, to the Magical Services channel. So, this is going to be a most supreme horoscope for the general collective with accents on love and career for May 20th, 2026. With that said, let's get into your horoscope collective. So, the collective atmosphere of May 20th, 2026 is an unmistakable transition corridor defined by pressure, acceleration, emotional intensification, and structural reorganization. The dominant force driving the entire field is the Sun moving through the final degrees of Taurus, one of the most critical threshold positions in astrology. A planet at the final degree of a sign behaves with urgency, compression, and inevitability. Collectively, this creates the sensation that time is running out on old arrangements. Financial systems, personal commitments, leadership structures, material priorities, and emotional investments all begin approaching irreversible turning points. What has been tolerated out of comfort, fear, inertia, or familiarity becomes increasingly unstable. The collective mood shifts from passive endurance into active assessment. Throughout this cycle, people become more aware of the difference between temporary comfort and actual sustainability. Taurus energy normally seeks preservation, consistency, and predictability, but the final degree intensifies the need for resolution. Globally, conversations surrounding economics, food supply, property, employment, ownership, infrastructure, and resource control continue dominating public consciousness. Individuals become less willing to waste energy on unsustainable foundations or even unstable foundations. Decisions made during this period carry long-term consequences because the atmosphere rewards practical realism over fantasy. Mercury moving through early Gemini dramatically increases the speed of the collective mental field. Communication accelerates everywhere simultaneously. Information spreads rapidly. Hidden facts emerge. Negotiations intensify. Public discourse becomes louder, sharper, and more reactive. Expect major developments involving transportation, media, contracts, education, digital platforms, broadcasting, and social communication systems. This transit produces heightened curiosity, but it also creates scattered attention spans and overstimulation. Many people begin juggling multiple priorities at once. Mental exhaustion becomes possible if discernment is not maintained. At the same time, Uranus operating close to Mercury electrifies perception itself. Sudden realizations arrive without warning. Unexpected announcements, technical disruptions, abrupt reversals, and unconventional solutions begin appearing throughout the collective field. People who remain mentally adaptable gain enormous advantage under this energy. Those clinging rigidly to old assumptions encounter instability quickly. Globally, this configuration increases volatility in markets, media narratives, technological sectors, and political messaging. Innovation accelerates because necessity forces adaptation. Emotionally, the moon traveling through Cancer profoundly amplifies sensitivity, memory, intuition, attachment, and emotional protection mechanisms. Public mood becomes deeply reactive. Emotional responses intensify throughout the day as the moon gains illumination during its waxing crescent phase. Collectively, people become more aware of what genuinely nourishes them emotionally and what merely distracts them temporarily. Family structures, domestic environments, ancestral issues, caregiving responsibilities, emotional safety, homeland concerns, and personal vulnerability dominate the emotional atmosphere. Jupiter in Cancer magnifies these themes significantly. Emotional experiences become larger, deeper, and harder to ignore. Compassion increases, but so does emotional excess. People crave security, reassurance, intimacy, and meaningful connection. At the collective level, there's growing emphasis on protection, preservation, and emotional belonging. However, unresolved emotional patterns also become more visible. Individuals attempting to suppress feelings may discover that emotional avoidance is no longer functioning effectively. Love dynamics become highly emotional, deeply nostalgic, and intensely protective under Venus entering early Cancer. Relationships now prioritize emotional sincerity over superficial attraction. People seek consistency, loyalty, softness, and emotional reliability. Romantic energy becomes more attachment oriented and emotionally revealing. Relationships built primarily on convenience, image, ego validation, or temporary desire begin experiencing instability because the emotional requirements of the collective field are changing rapidly rather. So let me repeat that. Relationships built primarily on convenience, image, ego validation, or temporary desire begin experiencing instability because the emotional requirements of the collective field are changing rapidly. This period strongly favors relationships capable of genuine emotional reciprocity. Partners who create emotional safety become significantly more valuable. Conversations surrounding commitment, reconciliation, family planning, living situations, emotional neglect, caregiving, and long term partnership intensify globally. Emotional defensiveness also increases. People become more sensitive to rejection, dismissal, inconsistency, and emotional coldness. Small emotional gestures carry amplified importance during this cycle. Career and financial matters become exceptionally strategic because Mars continues moving through Taurus. Unlike impulsive fire sign Mars transits, Unlike impulsive fire sign Mars transits, this energy operates through endurance, patience, and controlled force. Productivity increases through disciplined consistency rather than aggressive speed. The collective realization becomes increasingly clear. Sustainable progress now requires methodical execution. Shortcuts lose effectiveness. Institutions, businesses, and individuals capable of maintaining steady structures gain advantage. This energy particularly favors construction, agriculture, finance, logistics, manufacturing, real estate, luxury goods, resource management, and long term investment strategies. However, stubbornness also increases. Conflicts become difficult to resolve because opposing sides become entrenched in their positions. Collective frustration may build slowly but intensely. Once boundaries are crossed, under Mars in Taurus, reactions become decisive and enduring. Saturn and Neptune, both operating in Aries, continue reshaping humanity's relationship with identity, autonomy, leadership, and personal initiative. This is one of the most psychologically important underlying themes in the dataset. Saturn in Aries forces people to confront the discipline required to become self directed. Neptune in Aries simultaneously dissolves outdated identities while inspiring new visions of personal power. Together, these transits create collective tension between uncertainty and ambition. Many individuals feel called toward major reinvention but remain uncertain about execution. The old identity no longer fits, yet the new identity has not yet fully stabilized. This creates periods of frustration, experimentation, and internal contradiction. However, the collective lesson here is learning to move despite incomplete certainty. Waiting for perfect conditions becomes increasingly impossible. Momentum now belongs to those willing to initiate, adapt, and refine in real time. Pluto retrograde in Aquarius continues operating beneath the visible surface of collective reality, intensifying long-term transformation involving technology, social systems, digital networks, artificial intelligence, institutional power, surveillance, and collective psychology. Hidden power structures continue surfacing gradually. Distrust towards centralized control increases. The collective becomes more aware of manipulation tactics, algorithmic influence, psychological conditioning, and invisible systems shaping perception. Social fragmentation increases under this influence, but so does the desire for authentic autonomy. Communities reorganize around shared values rather than inherited systems. Technological advancements accelerates. while ethical debates intensify simultaneously. This transit continues exposing the psychological consequences of hyperconnectivity and digital dependency. The waxing crescent moon phase steadily increases manifestation momentum throughout this entire period. Illumination rises significantly across the data across this time period. From the data, we could see even. So it is symbolizing growth, activation, and directional consolidation. What begins during this cycle gains traction rapidly. Small actions produce disproportionate future impact because the energetic field is highly responsive to intention combined with execution. By the final hours of May 20th, the collective atmosphere becomes unmistakably decisive. Emotional truth and practical necessity begin merging together. People stop tolerating structures, relationships, habits, and obligations that drain energy without producing meaningful return. Across love, career, finance, and personal direction, the dominant realization becomes impossible to ignore. Survival alone is no longer sufficient. The collective now seeks emotional authenticity, strategic stability, and purposeful momentum simultaneously. So that's what I have for you today, collective. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video or comment this video or share this video or subscribe to our channel so you get first dibs on future uploads. And of course, all those actions would actually help me grow the Supreme channel of ours very much. In case you wanted to help me do that, it would be very nice and appreciated. And make sure to check out the offer in the description box. It could be very useful if you're looking for a professional career or you have a professional career that you would like to make better. And beyond that, thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for supporting this channel. And until the next time, blessings.